you're going to use it, some people are saying don't use it. That's a bit like telling kids back in the 80s don't have sex because there's a risk of HIV.
Sure.
That doesn't work. Kids are going to have sex. What you got to do is have sex safely. People are going to use AI. How can you use it effectively? How can you use it to especially when it comes to your mental health, that avoids the risks and protects yourself but gets the most out of it?
Yeah, sure. And this was what I'd almost slipped my mind a moment ago. In terms of your strategy, you launched it two weeks
Yeah,
ago. I know that it kind of
yeah.
focuses on there's three segments, I believe: working lives, um, bullying, and
Mm,
also online lives.
mm,
I just
mm,
wondered how this
mm,
this kind of segment we've been speaking about AI shows up
mm.
in the online lives part of your policy.
Yeah, you're right. It's going to be. Yeah, effectively, we want especially young people to be equipped with the tools and know the risks, know the dangers.
Mm,
So I think in relation to AI, it was just what I was saying before. It's making sure that the AI products, especially when they are dealing with issues around psychological advice and mental health support,
hmm
making sure that those are properly regulated and that are safe, and that there is protection around your information and your privacy. And then it could be that we'll be involved in helping organisations develop uh, effective AI tools. It could be that we are giving parental advice. It could be that we're going to be doing some research on how young people are using chatbots, and using that sort of lived experience to help inform both materials advice, but also policymakers
mm,
about where the dangers are and where the risks are. Um, we're just really passionate. You asked me, like, what did we get wrong in the last 10 years? Like, as a mental health sector, we have been nowhere near on the ball enough about the role of technology and young people's
mm.
mental health and neurodevelopment and psychological development. And we're just determined to make sure that we don't make the same mistakes with AI, harness the good bits, but protect her from any potential harms.
Nice. And future focus. You know, 10 years at the helm of the Mental Health Foundation. You've witnessed progress, setbacks, significant social change that we've been speaking about just now.
Yeah.
How would you describe your outlook about the future of mental health, more broadly speaking?
I'm instinctively,
Mm,
I'm like a short-term pessimist and a long-term optimist. So I think there are going to be. I think we're going to face the next few years some real continued and sustained pushback on the mental health and well-being agenda. People are going to dismiss it. People are going to say we've had too much. They want to kind of return back to a kind of stiff upper lip, and I think that's you can see that in lots of different ways. There's a cultural swing that's going to come in the other way. So I think it's going to be a tough few years.
hmm
Um, but I think longer term, we're going to prove that prioritizing and exploring and valuing and protecting mental health is absolutely essential for human flourishing. We're going to look back and go, yeah, the people who are on the right side of that debate were right. It's the core of everything that we need in terms of um, creating a society that we want to live in. I'm optimistic. This week I was with my leadership team and we were at the People's History Museum
Right.
in Manchester. And one of the things it reminded me, Matt, was that social change, it like charted everything from the English Civil War right through to the sort of universal suffrage and the sort of Second World War, and all of the different trade unions and political parties that were established. And it just reminded me that change over long term does happen, and you just need to be able to play your part and pass the baton on to the next people. And I think I'm really excited and proud of the work that I've done at the foundation, the team has done, and I'm really looking forward to seeing, how they build on that, and continue to take the fight to ensure that people's mental health is protected and supported.
Well said. A lot of the conversation around workplace mental health support is understandably focused on today's challenges, but human beings over the course of time haven't changed nearly as quickly as the technology or the
Right,
workplaces
right.
or society. So, what would you say are some of the guiding principles about mental health in the workplace that you believe will still be relevant in, I don't know, 100 years' time?
Yeah. Have you Have you read Viktor Frankl's Man's Search for Meaning?
I've heard of Viktor Frankl, but no, I haven't. I haven't
He
read that one.
he's he was a Jewish psychiatrist who was put in the concentration camps by the Nazis,
Mm,
and he was a psychiatrist, and he observed who survived and who didn't, and he found that those that had a personal sense of meaning
mm,
and purpose in their lives were able to endure suffering. He had this great quote that said, you can survive any what if you've got a big enough why."
right.
So I think moving forward in 100 years, the big challenge for employees that they're going to is creating meaningful engagement and purposeful work. I think AI is going to cause some real big disruption in that space,
Mm.
but we need it as human beings. It can't be artificial. So I don't think that's going to change, and I think workplaces are going to have to think really hard about what does delegation mean? What is the task that needs to be done? What does work actually mean? And I think it's going to change. But the thing they've got to focus on, and we'll focus on, is it's got to feel meaningful. It's got to feel like it matters, and that is so important for mental health.
And finally, after everything that you've contributed through your work at the Mental Health Foundation, if future generations only remembered one lesson from your work, what would you hope that that was?
Well, the one message I suppose for me would be that it's so easy to be self-critical, and shame plays such a big role in mental health. And so my big message would be that whatever you're experiencing is much more common than you think. The problem isn't you. The problem is likely to be what you've experienced or what's happened to you. The problem isn't you, and there is a way to prevent that problem escalating and living well. So I'm really passionate about preventing people feeling ashamed of their own distress. Like, that it's hard enough dealing with the distress. You don't need the guilt and shame on top.